So a weak dollar, unstable dollar, makes commerce harder, and it has very destructive impacts. First of all, it misdirects investment. Without investment, we don't get a higher standard of living. A weak dollar is like a virus in a computer, corrupts the information. When the dollar becomes weak, what happens to the flow of investment money? It becomes defensive. It goes into commodities. Try to preserve what you have instead of invest to grow in the future. You saw it in the 1970s. $3 oil went to $40 a barrel. When Reagan and Volcker stabilized the dollar in the 80s, it crashed down to 10, stabilized at 20. From the mid-1980s to the early part of this last decade, when the Fed went off the rails again, the dollar price of a barrel of oil, a little more than $21. And now, look what it's today, $80, $90. You saw it with the housing. We had an artificial housing boom in the late 70s. Even worse one this time. The housing bubble could not have happened without a weak dollar. So you get financial bubbles. Another thing that happens is when you have a weak currency, real wages go down, which is why the median income in this country has gone nowhere for 10 years. Your salaries go down in real terms, which is why after 40 years of this nonsense of having floating dollars like a floating clock, it takes two incomes in a family to do what one income could do several generations ago. So when the dollar goes down in value, you pay more for food, you pay more for gas, you pay more for electricity, which means less money for other things. And so U.S. median incomes, as I mentioned, went down. And so workers do better when you have, in terms of improving their standard of living, people do better when they're in countries where the currency is stable, and they do worse in countries over time that have weak currencies. It also harms our security. Weak money, as I mentioned, has an artificial boost to commodity prices, particularly oil.